In 2024, we have seen a massive price increase on alternate art Pokemon cards. But as always, what goes up must come down. Now we're seeing a lot of these high value alternate art cards dropping in price over the last few weeks. So today, let's take a look at the top 10 alternate art Pokemon cards going into July 2024 and seeing which ones are sustaining and which ones are dropping. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome. As I just mentioned, today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 alternate arts from the Sword and Shield era. Now a lot of these cards have seen drops over the last couple of weeks. Some of the big contenders like the MoonBon on this list, it's finally started to go down in price. If you were buying it at the high about a month ago, you might be hurting when you see it in this video. But anyways, let's get right into it. We're going to start with number 10, and that is the Lugia. Now, a few months ago, I don't even think this card was cracking the top 10. Just looking at the 3-month chart, it was only $130, but managed to get up to about $230. I've been seeing PSA 10s going for crazy value. I saw one for sale for 600 Canadian recently, which is pretty insane to me. But since it's high the second week of June, it has dropped $30 to $198. This card might continue dropping. I could see it kind of leveling out until Silver Tempest is like harder to get. You know, it's still one of those packs you're seeing in collection boxes, just like Lost Origin. Even in Scarlet and Violet, we're like, what, 6 sets in? We're still seeing Sword and Shield product, which is, you know, not too uncommon that we're going to be getting Lost Origin or Silver Tempest in the odd collection box or like those Iono tournament collections. But yeah, I was pretty surprised when this card, you know, almost doubled in price. People were, you know, down talking it a lot at the beginning of the year because it was such an easy pull, but it climbed up fast. It followed suit with all the other alternate arts. Now it's dropping off. I could see it like continuing to go down and then returning to this value down the line 6 months to a year. Next up, we got the Sylveon VMAX from Evolving Skies. Personally, this is not in my top 10. I don't really like Sylveon all that much, to be honest, but a lot of people seem to. This one hasn't really dropped too much yet. I think it still could, but at the same time, I feel like some of these lower alternate arts from Evolving Skies will kind of rise up and kind of hit a medium point, like level out with the Rayquaza maybe a little bit. I don't think many of them will get close to the Umbreon. But Sylveon here, for the last 6 months, it was going up from 130 all the way up to 270, so it doubled in price over a 3-month period. But again, back at the beginning of June, it dropped. I don't know if this is because a lot of people are focusing on, you know, let me try to chase that Greninja, or if people are just selling them out because it's halfway through the year. It seemed like a lot of people were putting money into the hobby, you know, in January with the new year, they had investment goals. I think a lot of people saw the price hike and realized, yeah, I've doubled my price. I should probably sell this card now. Making double what I paid is incredible. With any investment, like, I feel like that is smart. Sealed product, I feel like has more potential, but with singles, you know, if you hold it for 20 years, I don't know. If you hold it for maybe 2 years versus 5 years, I don't really see too much of a difference, especially in these like ultra modern cards, you know, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet. I think there is a ceiling on a lot of these cards for now. You know, if they're double what you paid, you might as well sell it. If it drops a bit more, then you can buy it again, made a little bit of money, right? So this card hasn't really dropped yet. It dropped a little bit, but you know, realistically, it's only like $10 down from what it was at the beginning of June. I think this one will drop a bit more, but not until some of the bigger cards have, like the Gutina, the Gengar, the Rayquaza, stuff like that. Next up, Glacial. This card honestly shows like no signs of slowing down. In the last 3 months, it's gone from 150 to its high right now. I think it's all-time high at 315. So unlike the last 2 cards, this one is actually still going up, and it leveled out for June, and it's seen increases over the last week or two. Again, I don't know. This one could follow suit with like other alt arts start dropping, but I think Glacial is a little bit undervalued. It's a very nice card. The fact that it's got the little Pikachu in the foreground, I think, is a big pro for this card. You know, there's a lot of Pikachu collectors out there. I know this is one of my favorites. All the alt arts evolutions are great, especially the VMAXs. But this one I pulled, it looks great in person. I don't know if I would sell it. Like maybe if it climbs up a little more, I might, looking at the other ones dropping. It might be a good time to think about selling your alt arts and then rebuying them if you haven't yet, especially the few that are still going up. Just something to think about. Next up, Espeon from Fusion Strike. This one didn't follow the exact same, like, just steady growth as other alt arts. I think because this card was pretty high at one point and dropped, it kind of returned. But over the last 3 months, you know, between March In May, it bumped up about $50. And then up until June, it's gone up to about $345. So it went up from $140 to $345 in 3 months. So that's like what, a $205 increase? Pretty drastic. Even now it's sitting at $317. So it's backed off about $30, but it's still up double, more than double what it was 3 months ago. This is one I want to pick up really bad. I've been saying this the last few videos. This is in my collection goals. I want this card in a PSA 10 eventually. Just at the raw price of over 300, it's not worth it to me. I'm kind of happy it's going down as someone who doesn't have it in my collection. If you have it, it's got high value right now. Fusion Strike is notorious for the bad pull rates. There's the Espeon and the Gengar, which we'll get into next, that are both really high value. I don't know how much they'll drop. I feel like the Gengar will sustain better than the Espeon, but definitely keep an eye out on this if you're thinking about selling. Next up is the Gengar. This one is taking a different path. In the middle of May, May 14th, somewhere around there, it was at $410, which is its high from the last 3 months. Even its high from the last year, actually. But since then, about a month longer than the rest of these cards, it has been slowly dropping, and it's dropped about $70 in the last, 5 weeks, I guess we'll say. Still up from 3 months ago. It went into April at about $225, got all the way up to $410, and now has backed off to $340. So you're still seeing a $120 gain on this card. I feel like this is one a lot of people still want in their collection. I also feel like there are a lot of PSA 9s out there that you could get for probably cheaper than a raw copy. This one does look like it's kind of leveled out though since its drop. I feel like it'll sustain. I think now that it's dropped a bit, a few people will be wanting to pick it up and it'll increase a little more, but I wouldn't be surprised if this one decreases more as well. Now to get into the top 5, we've got the Leafeon. This one's a little bit more similar to what we're seeing with the Glacial or even the Sylveon. It hasn't really backed off much. It's shown signs of backing off, but still 3 months ago, it was going for $160. It got to a high of like $356 and has now dropped just a little bit to $350. So you're still over double what this was 3 months ago. Again, another card I would really like in my collection. I cracked so much Evolving Skies and I just kept pulling duplicates of Duraludon. It hurts, Not cards you want to be pulling when there's such better ones out there. But this is one I'm going to personally keep a close eye on. If it drops like a significant amount, I'm not saying it will. A lot of this is just my guessing, right? I just want you guys to be aware of the alternate art situation. They're not still going up. If you're holding them, waiting for them to hit like an insane value, they're already kind of at an insane value. Now might be the time to sell some of these, pick them back up when they drop like $100 or whatever. If they drop 30%, might be worth selling them now, picking them up again, waiting for them to rise. Because if they drop, I think they'll get back to a similar price that we have now. It just might not be for a while. But yeah, Leafeon has dropped about $6 in the last week or two. Might be a sign that it's going to drop more. If you're looking to sell it, now might be the time. And if you really want to pick it up, maybe wait another month or so. You might be able to get it for a better price. Next up, the Blazak from Chilling Reign. This is one that honestly I am surprised by the value, and I have been the whole time. I don't think it's the best card in Chilling Reign. It's a cool card, but the illustration style just isn't it for me. This one has been climbing for a long time, like more than 3 months. I'd say it started climbing even at the beginning of the year. But since going into March, end of February, going into March, it was at $172. It hit its high of $406 at the beginning of June, like all these cards. So it went up over double again, a lot of these cards. And that's it. Like, I think a lot of these people, it's like, wow, I had a bunch of these, they doubled in price, now's the time to sell them, right? And that's going to affect the price. If everyone's selling at the same time, they're going to drop. But since the beginning of June at 406, it is now sitting at 360. Again, personally, I don't think this card is worth 360. I know it's from like a pretty big set. It's a tough card to pull. But Blaziken, is it really the coolest card in the set? I guess it's more arguable than like the Galarian Birds because Blaziken is more of an OG. But to be honest, man, come on. The Galarian Moltres, is that not the most badass card we have in the Sword and Shield era? I think it deserves to be up here. Next up, Gutina. This card is down actually a pretty big amount. It was going for upwards of $480 back in May. It kind of dipped a little bit, leveled out, slowly increased, and then dipped again pretty hard. So it's gone from $480 to $390 in the course of about, I'd say 5 weeks here. It's still up. 3 months ago, it was at $280. So you're still up over $100, $110 on this card. I still think it could drop a little bit more. I know this is a tough card to pull, right? Lost Origin is like really difficult to pull alternate arts from. But just like Silver Tempest and that Lugia, you can still find Lost Origin pretty easily. Like even going back to Astral, Brilliant Stars, even Fusion Strike is still out there in collection boxes in some cases. It's getting harder and harder to come by. And Lost Origin, I feel like by the end of the year, it's going to be harder to come by unless there's some sort of reprint. I should mention that the Japanese equivalent to Silver Tempest and Giratina was reprinted, which is very strange considering those sets have been out for what, about almost 2 years now, coming up on 2 years. That could be affecting these prices if everyone is worried that, hey, maybe there's going to be a Silver Tempest or a Lost Origin reprint. I feel like there won't be a Silver Tempest reprint because that set is still available and there's only like one good chase card in that set. There's more to offer from Lost Origin. I feel like we won't get a reprint because we're getting so close to, we're like at the 2 year mark, right? This set came out in August of 2022. It very well could because it's still legal and competitive for another few months, but there are other sets with like the big cards, Crown Zenith has the cards, whatever you need for the Lost Box deck. As it gets rotated out though, I wouldn't say it's safe from a reprint yet. Very possible, and that could be affecting the price. People could be worried about it, selling it now to make sure they get that profit, and kind of waiting to see what happens before picking it up again. Next up, Rayquaza from Evolving Skies. This card just had like steady growth. It was 260 3 months ago, got all the way up to 545. So again, that's over double in a 3 month period. Since then, the second week of June, it's dipped off a bit. It's actually lost about, what is that, $70 in value. It's down to 477, 480 we'll say. But it looks like it's gonna drop a lot more. I feel like this card will hit 450. It'll drop another $25 by July. The prices I'm looking at right now, it's on the 25th of June. It looks like, it's dropped in the last week. It's dropped about $25. I think it'll drop another 25. It might, I don't know if it'll get down to 400 again, especially in such quick time. It very well could though. By the looks of this graph, it's looking a little scary. A big fall off in the last 2 weeks. Like I said, $70. It's very possible that this card is just going to take a big dip. Next up, the MoonBon, the big card. This is one that could sustain, but I feel like everyone who wants this card has this card. People are still buying it and selling it pretty regularly, around $1,000. PSA 10s here in Canada going for like $2,100, like $2,000. Ridiculous. But this card, it just showed no signs of slowing down until a couple weeks ago, actually, until the end of May. In the last 3 months, like 3 months ago, it was $640. It got all the way up to $960, and raw copies selling for over $1,000. Look, on today on TCG Player, one sold for $1,010. I don't know how accurate that is because some of them were going yesterday for about $200 less. But yeah, this card, it's still moving close to $1,000, but the average is dropping a bit. It's down from $960 to $870. It looks to be a steady decrease in value, slow and steady. It's not dropping like $35, $40 a week. I don't know how likely it is that MoonBon is going to drop more. Like, I feel like it's going to stay above $800 long term. This is like an iconic card, right? It's kind of a piece of history in the Pokemon TCG, and being such a tough card to pull, I don't think it's going to go down much. Like I said, I feel like everyone who like wants this card, just wants one for a collection, has it. It's just people that want to make money off of it that is going to affect the price, right? Like people buying it and selling it when it goes up. Buy it now, sell it when it hits $950 again. Make your money, keep recycling it like that, right? So personally, I don't really care. I'm not planning on buying any MoonBons, and I'm never going to sell the one that I have. But still, like if you don't have this card and you want it, or if you're looking to invest like good money into some alt arts, keep an eye on some of these big cards, right? Like there's potential that some of these are going to drop pretty drastically. Like I said, I don't know if MoonBon will drop too drastically, but some of these other cards like Rayquaza, Espeon, Gengar, there might be good potential to get in there and just kind of wait a little bit, 6 months to a year, see if they go up some more and make a little bit of profit off of it. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for today's video. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think is the reason these cards are kind of seeing a drop or a market correction, if you will. Personally, I think people just doubled their money and saw it as a good time to get out. I feel like these cards will return eventually, but we might see a low period for the rest of the year. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.